Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lukeness Monster, and as always, this is Somewhere in Space. This may all be happening right now, and today we have a very special guest on. But before we do get into that, David, do you want to give yourself a little bit of an introduction?
I'm SideQuester. How's it going?
And we're also joined with Vince from PopOloco. Would you like to give yourself a little bit of an introduction?
Yeah, I'm Vince Diaz. I'm the owner and operator of PopOloco.com. Sell toys and collectibles to the collector community and try to do the best I can to help everybody out.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. We were really excited to finally get you in here. We've been talking about it for a long time now, so it's really great.
Absolutely. So there's a lead up to this whole deal. A couple years ago, I think I was looking for the Black Series Episode 2 Obi-Wan, and it was like a year after they had come out. Nobody had them or anything, and I did a search, and PopOloco.com came up, and they had them in stock, and I was like, "Whoa, no way!" So I ordered a couple, and ever since then, I've been ordering from Vince and through communications of like, "Hey, by the way, do you have this in stock, or is this coming in?" We built a rapport, and that led to, "Hey, we should have you on the show and talk about what a retailer goes through and the experience of being a collector slash retailer with Star Wars: The Black Series." So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I know. I've ordered from the store before. It came really fast and it was packaged very well too. So always appreciate some nicely packed figures so they don't get damaged in shipping. But
Well, I mean that's one of the differentiations I have. It's I'm a little shop. I'm just a little minnow in the huge ocean of the Amazons and Targets and WalMarts. And I mean, I follow the Instagrams and I follow the Facebook feeds like everybody else, and you know, one out of every five orders from one of those big stores is, "Oh, my box is all crushed. Oh, look what they did to my box. Oh, look at what they did." It's just like, it's not that hard, it's not that hard. Get a box, get some paper, pack it up, and it's good.
Or it's shipped in a padded envelope instead of a box.
Oh, that's I can't fathom that. I can't fathom that. I mean, oh, I mean, I know there's a lot of openers. People like open their boxes and they throw the boxes away, but from my perspective, it's just like, well, I want to have the choice of what I do with the box once I get it. I want to have the experience. I want to have the unpackage. I don't want to have like the disappointment of wrecked, crushed box. And I figure everybody on the other side wants the same thing, even if they're going to throw it away, even if they know they're going to get a damaged box or whatever. Because I have the differentiation on my site for standard boxes and maybe some substandard boxes to kind of shave some money off of it, but even those I still pack the same way. I don't take any less care. It's just, you want that experience. If you can't find it in the store, you want at least a clean experience of getting a clean box, being able to see the artwork, being able to see the text and everything for the first time. And then if you want to crush and throw it away, that's fine. But this is that first unpackaging experience that I know everybody appreciates and wants.
yeah, absolutely. I know. I saw an Instagram post today. I think it was from Yakface where the shipping box was in perfect condition, but the figure inside the box was crushed, and so they had crushed it like in the warehouse before they even shipped it out.
That was like the Night Owl, wasn't it? The Walmart Night Owl.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is, I don't know what happens at the factory or what, but I'll get a fresh, clean case, and my distributor will pack all the cases into a larger box. The larger box will be thick, packed with paper and everything. The inner case will be tight, square, clean. Open it up, crushed. Everything's crushed. I'm like, what? What happened? So that's when I started doing the differentiation on the side. I was like, "Oh, this is the way they came from the factory." I mean, I can't get my money back. I can't claim damage because there's no damage. There's the outside of the shipping box is fine. So it happens. And I don't know why.
And that's one of the things we want to get into. We want to get into is like uh, the experience that you have as a retailer and some of those the pros and the cons of it. But first, I kind of want to get an introduction to how you even came about deciding to start PopOloco.com.
Well, the dirty secret is Funko Pops. I mean, that's a gateway drug, and I don't care what anybody says. Everybody's got one Funko Pop in their house. I don't care how much they crap on them. It just
Yep.
there you go, there you go. And it was something that I tried to resist for a long time. We would see them in on the shelves and stuff. We're like, we know ourselves. When I say ourselves, I mean me and my wife. We know how we are. We like things. We'll start getting a bunch of things. We're going to resist the Funko Pops. And then they started coming into us as gifts. It's like, I think the first one I got was like a Yoda Funko Pop, and I was just like, it just started going downhill from there. And then just get caught up in the FOMO and the big events, the SDCC cons, um, cursing out the bots that steal all the inventory online, and then you need money. It's a big collection. It's like you got some stuff in your collection. And it's like you look up the value. It's just like, hey, this doesn't fit my collection. It's got a good value on it. Why don't I sell it, get some money, and then pay for other stuff?
And
And
then I can buy more.
I can buy more. And then I think the first big one I had was I think it was an exclusive Batman Zurinar from Target. It had the Zurinar coloring, super limited. I could see in the Facebook groups like people were just losing their mind, just absolutely losing their mind. I gotta have it. And my wife was at Target. I called her. I was like, "Hey, can you maybe just ask if they have this purple red Batman?" And she's like, yeah, they do. Do you want it?" Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Got it, and sat on it for a while, and then it was time. It was just the hottest thing. Sold it, and it was just like, hey, I can do this. I want to sell these things. So we had a big collection. We started ordering wholesale, and then we would set up at the local mall. I mean, this is all pre-pandemic. This is like 2016, 2017. Um, Set up at tables at the local mall. There were toy shows, and, get my get the people together, let them know, hey, I'm going to be here. This is what I got. Come on by. And yeah, it was good. Uh, and then I started seeing like Funko starting to hint at being publicly traded, and it's just like I got to diversify. I got to diversify fast. So I started stocking Marvel Legends, Star Wars Vintage Collection, Black Series, uh, Super 7 stuff. Ugh, it's a different story there, but yeah, just started getting a different mix of things and started, following other things and just kind of got introduced into this bigger world of collecting. And I was just like, yep, I'm gateway guy with a Funko Pop into like everything else now.
So when did it go from being just the brick and mortar store to when you started doing it online? Were you doing both at the same time, or was it just the brick and mortar thing ended and you started doing online retail?
Well, it wasn't it wasn't so much a brick and mortar. It was just like toy shows, like the mall would have. Well, one of the vendors in the mall, he had a brick and mortar store, and he would call up the local collectors and say, I'm going to put together a show. You can set up a couple of tables out in the corridor of the mall. And then the mall wants traffic because malls being what they are now, and I need traffic to my store, so it's a win-win for everybody. I was like, okay. So we would do that. We would haul out our tables to the mall, set up our inventory, and there we go. And then it was kind of like at the shows, like, well, here, if you guys are looking for other stuff, here's my card, here's my website, check it out. So selling online was like eBay, and then it was, I got to set up a little store online, and then it went to what we have today. It was the brick and mortar thing was kind of, I don't know. I still don't know how that it would be a completely different experience to go brick and mortar versus online.
Yeah, I had thought probably about mm, 10, 15 years ago, like when Luke was still in diapers, about starting an online retailer, because I actually lived 3 miles away, maybe 5 miles away from the distribution hub for Entertainment Earth. Uh, and so they literally had it where you could, if they had something in stock, you could go to their warehouse. They had a computer there. You could order it right there on the computer, and they would pull it from the warehouse and hand it to you over the counter. So I was like, but then they moved like a half hour away, which, I mean, it still would have been fine, but
Just,
um,
I mean, they still charge shipping to get it to you, so you'd still
that's
save on
true.
that shipping. So
They still will let you do will call if you live nearby,
close,
but
yeah, yeah.
I don't live there anymore.
Could you talk to us a little bit about the process of getting retail orders into Hasbro, Entertainment Earth, wherever you order the figures from? Like, do you get like a list of items in advance, or do you kind of like order them blindly?
It's a mix of everything. I go through Entertainment Earth, and I have a representative. And we try to establish a relationship with the representative that's assigned to you at a time. They kind of mix around. Sometimes they kind of bounce around, but usually we get talk to the representative. I say, hey, this is kind of my product mix. This is what I'm looking for. Give me a heads up if you get anything, and then I'll take a listen to see what you got. So they'll do like a will call, and they'll have a blind list. We have no idea what the characters are. They'll have some guesses. Yeah, we don't. A lot of the stuff I order is just blind and just cross my fingers and hope that it's going to be something good. And sometimes we do okay, and sometimes we're not. But so there's sometimes they'll give me a heads up. Sometimes they'll get that call list, and then we'll know, I don't know, maybe even 5 or 6 months before they actually do the product announcement. So I know if I can get my orders in at that time and just take the gamble and order blindly, then I have a good chance of getting some stuff, kind of early on in the stream. And that worked. That worked great up until COVID. So
So when you say that you have to order blindly, is that like case assortments, or is it single cases of characters where it's they just have like the code name? As much as you can tell us, I know that there's trade secrets that you can't divulge, but
it's I I don't I don't commit that heavy to the singles because it's blind. You just don't know. I don't want to end up with 3 cases of Lando Calrissians because they warm the pegs as it is, right? So usually there'll be assortments, and the assortments will have a code name, and they might be able to tell you the code name for each of the characters in the assortment, and they'll tell you some guesses of who they think the characters might be, but we don't find out what those are until they publish the image on the website, and the manufacturer does announcements and starts doing their marketing blast. The only advantage is I get in on the list early and try to get some product in before it gets flooded.
so not even like if like with the acolyte show, they have a whole wave that's just acolyte figures. Do they say this is an acolyte wave, or do they just say this is wave 107 of the Black Series, buy it or not, we don't care?
They described it as, we think this wave is going to be for the new Disney show.
Oh wow.
Like, okay.
It's one of the shows.
So, all right. Yeah, I'll see.
That's just a complete roll of the dice.
It is. It is. It's kind of nerve wracking sometimes, and you look on your shelf. It's like, I still have that guy there. Oh.
um again, you don't have to answer this if you're unable to, but is there a point where if you order something and you find out what it is afterwards, and it's a case of Rose Ticos, that you're can you say, oh, whoa, pump the brakes, like can you cancel it at that point, or are you stuck with a dozen roses?
Yeah, you get you have to do some negotiation. I mean, the once you commit, it's kind of you're committed, and they don't like to cancel, and there could be some financial stuff associated with canceling. They would prefer that you take what you committed to, even though it's blind, and there's no like, oh, sorry, well, just because you don't like it doesn't mean you can't take it. So that's another important reason to establish a relationship with the distributor or sales rep that they assign to you. It's like, just see what you can do, and you can like maybe replace it with something else in stock or whatever. But yeah, they mostly want you to take what you order. So yeah, it's what it is.
We try to narrow, we try to focus the stuff that we talk about to Star Wars the Black Series, but I guess this could just be a general question, but are there certain types of things that you seek out that you're really excited to actually get in stock, and are there things that maybe you see kind of dwindling, getting shipped out, and you're like, I need that for me?
Yeah, that's true, especially now, like post COVID, when shipping, like during COVID, just shipping was just insane. Like stuff was just delayed for 2 or 3 years, um, and then like they would promise you, well, they wouldn't give you a promise, they give you estimated ship dates of a certain date, and that date would come and go, and you're just like, oh, where's that stuff? It's just like, well, they're still dealing with whatever shortages or not manufacturing or whatever. So when that started happening and I couldn't make commitments like on pre-orders, it's like, I'm just gonna wait. I'm not gonna commit to these long pre-order things because I don't know if they're going to get canceled or they're never going to make it, and I don't want to have like this commitment by my collectors to be out there waiting for something that may not even arrive. Before COVID, I think that happened to me with the Star Wars Vintage Collection Luke crate. Just waited months and months and months and months, and just he never showed up, and there was just a lot of sad people on my side. And then Clone Commander Rex, that was another. I had commitments from I don't know how many people on that one, and I was just like, they canceled, and I was like, so that was pretty painful.
Yeah.
And did they ever give you any explanation, or was it just like, this isn't happening now for Rex?
Yeah, it's just not happening now. It's not happening now. Yeah, it's just, and it's happened quite a few times. I see it from Mattel, and I see it from Hasbro mostly. But that's why like you don't see many pre-orders on my site anymore, because it's been happening a lot. The manufacturers have been readjusting to like that surge of orders that people did during COVID, because nobody was doing anything but staying home and playing with toys. And now the post COVID, that's all scaled back. People are busy. People are like, they're getting out of collecting again. So they've shrunk what they're producing, and they're being very careful about what they're producing, and everything's allocated. So I have commitments for some stuff, but I don't set up pre-orders because I don't know if they're going to fill those commitments or not. So fortunately, like the Chiari Mundi came back in, and I actually started a third restock this week. So, you know, so it's been,
I was just going to ask you if you had actually pre-ordered Chiari Mundi back what was it, 2022? Was that when he went up?
That's when he was announced, I think.
yeah. It was sometime after that I did the pre-order, and just kind of went to a couple of different distributors trying to hedge my bets that somebody would fulfill them, and then they all did. So I got a bunch of them. So
I think I have one in my cart. I'm debating. Or wait, no, I think he sold out. Didn't he sell out again? Or did you just restock him again?
I I just restocked them like yesterday.
Well, I bet he's going to be really popular. At the moment, there's a rumored Commander Bakara coming out, so I bet Kiadi Mundi is going to go up in value if he sells out pretty soon. So we'll see. Hopefully they do like a full refresh of him if Commander Bakara is coming out. So we'll see. But
Yeah, it's just no telling. And then, I mean, we all know how Hasbro works. It's like, oh, there's a brand new show on. Let's not sell anything related to the show, which was surprising how they timed the Acolyte figures.
yeah, it's crazy how many comments I get for like Bad Batch season 3 figures, and Hasbro has not touched it with a 27-foot pole. So
I know, I know. And there's like, they have all the molds, and it's just repaints, really. And it's just like, I'll take them.
But then also in that regard, kind of veering away from Black Series just for a second, it's really interesting that they actually have Deadpool and Wolverine product, not just the legacy figures, but they have leaked images of the Wolverine from the movie, and it's produced, it's boxed and like on its way. So I don't know, maybe they're course correcting, or maybe they tried to sneak this one in. I guess it's a little easier when it's just a case assortment of two figures, but
I don't know. Maybe the Marvel guys are more persuasive on what to produce when they go back to Disney. And Disney's with Star Wars, it's Lucasfilm and Disney at the same time. So I couldn't tell you. Don't know.
from from what I've noticed, Marvel tries to get their figures out like before the movies coming out. So you have movies like the Eternals, which was kind of delayed there, and so you have their figures just on store shelves for like 3 or 4 months before the movie's out, and they just peg warm so hard. I still find Eternal figures sometimes.
That was those ones came into play just before COVID. I remember getting them on my order list, and then they announced them, and then the movie started getting delayed, and then they pulled them back, and that it was just like, oh, just yeah, I'm out. I'm out. And then I saw the movie.
you never saw the movie?
No, I did see the movie. I was like, oh man, I dodged a bullet.
Well, I had actually bought some of the figures before the movie came out, and I opened them and I was stuck with them.
You know, I'm still finding Eternal figures at Ollie's. They cannot get rid of them, not even for like 4.99.
Somebody needs to customize them or just reuse them with armor on top or something. I don't know.
Every once in a while, there wasn't there. Didn't they do that with the Lando, the General Lando? Somebody came up with like a custom design, and they're like, "Oh, this is the custom that you can make if you use the General Lando. Go to your stores, buy up all the General Landos, so we can clear the pegs and get new figures."
Which is such a shame too, because General Lando is such a good figure. Like I don't understand why he flopped. I know he was double packed into a case, but I wish he was a little bit more popular. I mean, he's a original trilogy main hero, so I don't know.
That's what I think it was. I believe he was in two assortments back to back, and I think in one of the assortments he was double packed. And it just, I mean, it's kind of like, if you won't remember this, Luke, but Vince might. Do you remember when the Power of the Force 2 figures were out, and the pegs were filled with the Rancor Keeper and what was the other one in that same wave? And Kenner, there was like a rumor that they had kind of this idea that they wanted to put sleeper figures into the assortments so that they would hang on the pegs, because everything else was selling out. So when they did all the main characters, they were just disappearing. So they wanted figures like the Jawas or something that would just hang there. After a while, people, how many Jawas can you buy? Well, I guess that's kind of a dumb question because you could buy a lot, but how many Rancor Keepers could you really buy unless you're making custom figures of me? Um,
Is there anything you currently collect? I know you mentioned Funko Pops, but is there any figure lines, or is it just Funko Pops? Or
So like I'm sitting in my desk, my warehouse, my office, and I feel like at any given moment I'm collecting everything because it's my inventory as well. Um, but it's like I don't go and like deliberately collect something. Just as stuff comes in, I got to sort through whatever, and I will probably scrape out a couple of like damaged packages or stuff, and just kind of buy them and keep them for myself. Things I find interesting. Um, I'm looking at my shelf and let's see, there's some vintage collection, there's some He-Man, there's some couple of GI Joe. Yeah, there's just whatever, like if it comes in package is damaged, I was just like, well, I'll just keep this one for myself because I can, just put it up on with my shelf. um but to go and actively seek out stuff, it's I kind of gravitated over to some of the newer Mondo, like Safubi type stuff and the vinyl stuff. Uh, and since those are so costly, I try not to look at them so much.
I get that.
But yeah, those are to me, those are considered more like an art toy piece rather than just a figure collection. And those will be like in the main room shelf. Those will be something like we can all enjoy and share with people that come by. But the toys and stuff, they just kind of stay over here, kind of stay hidden.
So, so is it that you, because you have figures around you all the time and you're constantly like that's your world? Is it like the situation of the barista that doesn't drink coffee just because they're constantly making it, or the mechanic that doesn't work on his own car because he's constantly fixing other people's? Is that why you're not into it?
It's I really, when they come in and I open up the cases and I take a look at them, it's like it's really exciting. I really enjoy it, but there's just so much here around me all the time. It's like, these need to go out to somebody who's gonna do something with them, because otherwise it's just here on the shelf. But yeah, I do. Like I said, like if something comes through and it's got a damaged package and it really, I really feel something for it, or it really calls out to me, I just, well, that one's mine. I'm gonna keep it, and it'll be here. It'll be like a fidget toy when I'm at work or something. It's here. Yeah, there's been quite a few of those.
So, do you ever get like a sense of something, like you know a certain figure is going to be really popular and you jump on it, and I mean from the years of experience, do you ever get I in my question I said, do you ever get like a spidey sense or a Vince tingle?
Hey, I'm trying to recalibrate that spidey sense, the tingle, because I used to be pretty good at it. Used to be pretty good at like figuring out what was going to be popular. Uh, and then when they adjusted pricing up, like in two steps, I think it was. It's people aren't pulling the trigger as fast on stuff. And one example was the Black Chrysanthemum from the Book of Boba Fett. I I really went all in on him, but the pricing came back a little high, and I thought, well, he's a pretty hefty figure. People, they really called for him when they did that comic repaint of a Chewbacca that was all gross and skinny and like a wet dog. So I thought, oh, these are gonna be great. And yeah, that didn't work out. I kind of had to clear them out because I couldn't move them at the retail price at all. So yeah, my tingling sense of trying to understand what's going to be good and what's not is waning, and it's the price variable that's getting in the
Which
way.
is crazy because that Black Chrysanthemum figure is an amazing figure. It's really good.
It is amazing. He's one of the ones I kind of kept behind, and he kind of hovers over me all day long. But yeah, it's one of the most amazing figures that come out of that wave. Actually, probably the most amazing figure. But yeah,
I know we already talked about it a little bit, but what are some of the hangups in the online toy retail industry? Distribution. I know you already mentioned a little bit, like items arriving damaged. Is there anything else? I guess we haven't really talked about a little bit.
yeah, I don't. I don't know what's changed recently, but there's been a lot more damaged product coming through, and um, there was one instance of damaged product that was the carrier's fault. It was actually a shipment of Wrecker from the Bad Batch, and I went all in on him. You know, he looked like a pretty cool. He was a cool character. I liked his character, and I figured the figure was going to be a pretty good. And I guess FedEx left the package in the rain. So when I got him, like the package was just soaked through and through, and I'm just like, okay, no, 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 this has got to be a claim. So there's those surprises that come up, but yeah, that one got reimbursed or whatever. So I just unpacked them all, cleaned them up, and did loose sales on eBay for him. Um, but since that time, everything comes in pretty good and clean. But just occasionally, just you open a clean case and squash boxes like for no good reason at all whatsoever. It's just like somebody was just not happy at the factory.
And there's nothing you can do to reach out to the manufacturer to get that fixed,
No,
or
it's just between me and the distributor. I, I have no communication line to the manufacturer at all whatsoever. I'm just a little guy, not big enough. They want to go direct with like Hasbro or McFarlane or any of the bigger manufacturers. You got to have a big infrastructure in place, and you got to be able to commit to huge numbers of product. So I think that's where a lot of distributors establish themselves. Is like, well, we want to sell too, but we'll just buy all this product and resell to wholesaler, and it's almost like a like a marketing pyramid scheme, multi-level marketing scheme. Everybody gets their stamp. Um,
Yeah, if I remember correctly, again, when I was thinking about jumping into it, this is probably around 2009, 2010. I don't think Entertainment Earth had taken over distribution for online retailers, so you had to deal directly with Hasbro. And I want to say the minimum order was somewhere between $3,500 and $5,000 at a time. So you had to commit to that. So you had to buy, now, granted, it was like they would have Revenge of the Sith product, and so they would have everything available to order ahead of time, but you had to commit that amount of money to it, and it could have ended up being the same situation. You get a bunch of duds or whatever, and then soon after, I don't know the dates, but Entertainment Earth took over as Hasbro's kind of official distributor for online retailers uh, that could provide for eBay and sellers on eBay and sellers like Vince. Um, but again, I'm not sure when exactly they took over, but they kind of act as the middleman, which means, you know, if there's ever an issue, they have to handle it. But then they also kind of take some of the pressure off of Hasbro, uh, that there's things they're not having to deal with, so that they can handle, when Target has a crisis or when Walmart has a crisis.
exactly. Yeah, they they kind of intervened for small shops so that you could get smaller orders in. And I mean, they still have tiered structures where you order like one case and it's one price, and you order more than three cases and you get a little bit of a discount. But yeah, you don't have to commit to 100 cases or anything. Yeah, that would I probably wouldn't exist if that happened, because there's just no way I could do that.
Well, like I thought about it. It was right when I think they were doing the I don't know. I would guess maybe they had just started calling it the Vintage Collection, but they were still sort of repacking a lot of the figures that they had come out with in the last 5-10 years, but putting them on vintage style cards, and then occasionally throwing up a brand new sculpt with the what was it, the Galactic Hunt figures and all that with the silver foil and everything. It was back in those days. That was like I was considering it, but totally different ball game now. If you could reach out to Hasbro directly and talk to them a little bit about your processes, is there anything that you would ask of them, or anything that you would hope that they could dial in or change a little bit about the process to make things easier for you as an online retailer?
I mean, with Entertainment Earth being the distributor, I mean, I think that has alleviated some of like the pressure of like working directly with these big manufacturers, and you get some of that. You kind of have them on your side, even though you compete with them online because they're a retailer also. But they're kind of in your corner, but they're kind of competing with them. And I don't think Hasbro could change that model. I mean, they're the biggest, probably one of the biggest purchasers outside of like the big retail stores. But yeah, I've been this question is probably my suicide answer for that is Hasbro needs to well, they could completely like change the whole market, and I think this idea I have would be completely beneficial to the collectors as far as price goes, but um when Temu entered the market, Amazon has like kind of felt the pressure, because what happens on Amazon is third party resellers like myself, they acquire product and then they either list it on Amazon and sell it. So you've got the wholesaler price, and then you've got the reseller price, and then you've got what you got to sell on Amazon to make a buck, because Amazon's going to take their money. So the price of the product is getting stamped on, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And then, shipping too. I mean, you can't sell anything on Amazon unless you do free shipping. So a lot of the times that just ends up in, no money for you. But, you know, Timu has this thing now where you can actually, they don't have any like good product like Hasbro product or, name brand product, but the stuff they do have, you can price match, you can price compare it to an Amazon. And Timu has cut out tariffs, and they've cut out middleman pricing, and they've cut out reseller pricing, and they just ship from the factory straight to the consumer. So because most of the crap is junk, right? It's less than $600. It avoids a tariff, and the price is incredibly cheap. And that's like a realistic price of what it is. It doesn't have all the middleman pricing in it. So like, to destroy all us resellers, if Hasbro decided to take that model, I mean, the figure pricing would go down, and ultimately, I mean, that would probably be more beneficial to all the collectors, instead of having to wait it out for Ollie's and Ross to show up with any excess inventory. If they could do a direct to consumer market, direct from the factories straight to the consumer, I don't know. I would see pricing go down considerably. But that is no expertise talk here. That's nothing. I have no idea of processes and channels, tariffs. That's just kind of what I've kind of garnered from some of the e-commerce stuff I follow to kind of help myself out for my store. And that's the trend right now. Yeah.
I guess I got a little bit of a curveball question going off of that. I know just recently I saw like the Super Battle Droids and the Darth Sidious's ship out from, I believe, Big Bad and Entertainment Earth. Um, Yet Hasbro Pulse, I always order through Pulse because I have Pulse Premium, so I get free shipping. And Pulse is still like expected for like September. And so I guess like my question would be, do you know like why Pulse ships out like Big Bad Entertainment Earth stock before their own? Because you think like it's shipping straight out of their warehouse, it would probably be just easier to ship out their current stock first.
My best guess, it's like goodwill for their customers. I mean, the manufacturer is always going to have their customers, but they want to take care of the people that are helping them as well. And I think I think most of the time, most of the items show up at the retailers before they ship from Hasbro Posts. As a matter of fact, I think I might get my battle droids here in the next couple of weeks as well. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I don't like to announce that stuff until I know they're in hand. But I almost think my queue is got loaded up over the weekend with some new product, and I think the battle droids are on there. So why they ship them? to us before they ship out of their place. I don't know. I just my best guess is goodwill for the resellers that are supporting them.
So the next question I have here is, as far as collecting goes, uh, what is like a grail item for you? Something you could have it already, but something that you sought after for a long time and finally got a hold of it, or still want to get a hold of it.
Oh, grails. Golly, everything was a grail and then until it wasn't, I I have I held back a few Cara Dune vintage collections. Um I had her on order for gosh, maybe 2 years, and they finally released the order to me, and even like in that 2-year period they're like, "Hey, do you want to cancel these? I don't know what's going to happen with these." I'm like, "Nah, I'll hold on to her. I'll hold on to her." I ordered like I think 8 solid cases of her, and yeah, that basically just selling her on Amazon was like made my year. So like that's like a personal like back end grail or financial grail for those figures. And as far as collecting goes, I don't know. I think I regret more of what I don't have versus what I should have like looked for. Um like I never like I had the I guess I talk a lot of vintage collection, but I ordered a bunch of the Chopper vintage collections, and I only held one back, and now he's out of production completely. And I'm like, oh, that would have been helpful to have more of him in stock. And again, like my sense is off on what to keep and what to sell, or what to get more of and what to get less of. Um, gosh, I don't know. I think my biggest disappointment was when it was rumored that one of the HasLabs was going to be the Ewok village, and it turned out not to be. And that,
I had not heard that rumor.
oh, come on. Yes, you have. I think it
I don't
was.
really. I mean, I'm guessing it would have been Vintage Collection. I don't really follow Vintage Collection too
Yeah,
closely.
yeah.
I try to keep it in my radar, but
It was. I think it was the Ghost instead. The Ghost ship instead.
I wonder if a TVC HasLab indoor tree village or whatever, if that would have actually gone.
I think it would have sold really well. I mean, you have like the classic. I believe the classic Kenner one, which is I'm sure it would be like a not like a riff on that, but like a throwback to that, and I'm sure you'd get a lot of collectors that would appreciate that.
Well, a throwback and an update, new, and then you could just you could sell armies of Ewoks and just all the scenes that you could create from Return of the Jedi, and it was like it seemed to time right because it was the anniversary of Return of the Jedi, and they released like those little play sets, like the entrance to the shield generator, and all that stuff, and then it was the ghost ship, and I'm like, what? Wait, I was ready to buy an Ewok village.
Yeah, I bet that they probably had that in the works, and then somebody at like Lucasfilm was like, "We've got Ahsoka coming out, and so you need a HasLab Ghost or something," and they're like, "Well, I guess we'll get on it." So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Ewok village in the next 5 years, maybe.
There's no telling. Would that get you guys into vintage collection at all?
Mm.
Nah.
So I'm gonna uh, throw myself out into the firing line here. I until recently, because some of the stuff they've come out with in the last year or two has been pretty good. When for years the vintage collection was really just repackages of 10, 12-year old figures, that is a sign to me that they weren't really that invested in it and the line was dying. Um, since they have come out with a few figures here and there where the sculpts are amazing. Uh, the engineering is up to the 2020s, instead of being, clunky ball joints that they were in 2007. So as they've come out with cooler stuff like that, there've been a few where I've thought, hey, I should buy one of these just to throw on the wall or something, but I would leave it in the package. Um, I find myself falling more in love with the old Power of the Force figures because I can buy them and have them shipped to me, and they cost the same price they did in 1995. So if I'm going to go that route, I'm going to go my vintage, not the vintage collection. But I have been really impressed, especially my friend Ryan that designed all of the logos and stuff for our merchandise here. The thanks.
Oh, wrong side, wrong
Uh,
side. Hat right here.
he just got the brand new Princess Leia, which I saw you have available. That is such an incredible figure, and if they did stuff like that every time, that would get me back into the vintage collection for sure.
As a matter of fact, I have one of my local customer friends. He's all vintage collection, and I went over to his house yesterday to take him some of those new figures, and we just kind of looking at that Leia figure, and I was like, wow, that's like probably one of the best Leias they've come out with in a long time. The sculpt on the face was amazing for such a tiny scale.
Mhm. Have you seen it up close, Luke?
I have not. No, I've seen photos. I think from Bosk's Bounty on Instagram, but I haven't seen it in person.
Well, after we get done with this episode, you should go on to popoloco.com and check out Vince's images of them because they're fantastic. Yeah, it's a really well done figure.
Use code SPACE for an extra 5% off at and free shipping for orders over $35.
That's correct. I'll combine that code and the free shipping. So
So here on the podcast, we often talk about like our hopes and dreams for different like brand new items as collectors. And so I guess my question would be like, what would be an item that you'd love to see? I guess specifically relating to Hasbro. It doesn't have to be though. If it's like a pop figure or something else, what would be kind of like uh, a dream item that you would like to see from the standpoint of like being able to actually sell it at like a retail space?
oh wow. Geez. I mean, I understand there's logistics with the size stuff, like we talked about the Ewok village. I mean, that would be pretty rough, but I just feel like there's just so many characters missing, especially out of the newer properties that we just haven't seen yet, and I just don't understand why. It seems like there's a catalog of some of the newest properties that uh, it's just like, why don't we have those in hand yet? Why are they taking so long? Um, I I don't know. I mean, it feels like the Marvel team's got their act together. The GI Joe team is just probably carrying the weight of everybody, and the Star Wars team will, I don't know, stumble and fall all the time, and we're just like, well, what about this guy or what about this character? I don't know. Oh, here's a 15th version of Darth Vader. Oh, okay. Well, the lenses on his eyes are a little different now. That's cool.
He's got a crack in his helmet.
That's cool. But yeah, I mean, especially now, I think with Phantom Menace being what 25 years old now or something. I mean, there's probably a lot they could do. Um, I mean, we got the Droidica and we got Mundi and a few others, but it's just so much more that since they've improved their technology and they've improved their scans and they've improved their manufacturing, there's just so much more that could go back into that era of Star Wars and just kind of re-release, redo, or just upgrade, because I think there's a lot of people missing some of that early stuff that we didn't have.
And I wonder if that's maybe where we're headed because there have been properties one after another, films and then on Disney Plus pretty endlessly. And obviously when there's new media, there's money for merchandise that gets pushed to the front. So I wonder if after Skeleton Crew, there's not a whole lot lined up. There's Andor, And then I think they're doing another animated series, but I don't think that's anywhere near being in production. So I wonder if that'll start to sort of feel like when they had a non-movie year. Um, 2000 with the Power of the Jedi line, and I mean even the Power of the Force 2. Those were non-movie years. Maybe they will start branching out and diving into these other characters. Like we just saw a leaked image of a Sheezer figure from Shadows of the Empire. I mean, it's near and dear to my heart because I was 15, 16 years old when that came out, and it was everywhere. The purple packaging and the video game and everything, and everyone knew who Sheezer was. They did an entire soundtrack to go along with the novel. Like, who does that?
Yeah, and I think they tested. I think they've been testing the waters for some of those more obscure characters, like what was it, Malik
Yeah, the Knights of the Old Republic
and
figures there.
oh gosh, I had them. Yeah, Malgus. Both of those, I couldn't keep in stock long at all. I mean, those just flew, and then they seem to be out of production right now. It's just can't get them. So I mean, there's so much properties that they've kind of brought back to the forefront with all these new stories and the new shows. They're pulling from what was once regarded as no longer canon, and they start kind of going back into non-canon and kind of integrating it back into the main canon stories. And there's so many characters there that it's a treasure trove of characters. And like with the artwork they've been doing lately, and like those two as their prime examples, those are really awesome. Even if you didn't have any idea of where they came from, it's just like, I gotta have those. They gotta be on the shelf. So I don't know. They have a lot of opportunity, and they need to not waste those opportunities because we're not getting any younger.
Have you found that some of the newer like prequel figures have been selling better than some of the other like mainline figures, or is that just my wishful thinking as a prequel fan?
uh, I held out on the Droidica orders. I was a little worried on those because in the initial presentation, like I skipped out on the kind of like the coded sell of it because they just said, "Well, this figure's a little bigger." I'm like, ugh. And then in the initial presentation, they showed the boxes and the artwork. I'm like, yikes, that's a big, hefty guy. And my mind is always like, okay, if he's gonna be, X amount of ounces, oh, that's gonna be, $6-7 shipping. Ugh. um, but they released him, and there was some excess inventory, and I saw like people were really jumping on them, and I took it, and yeah, there's sorry, David, there's no more.
No.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'd rather you be able to make your money on them, and who knows? Maybe they'll do a refresh on them. That's the interesting thing about those types of assortments. It's its own SKU. It's a unique box, so it's not like they could throw it into another assortment down the line or move on from the regular assortments. It's its own thing. So chances are, if they go back into production in it, they'll do it several times, just like General Grievous or what's one of the other ones that they've done?
The Gamorrean Guard had a little bit of a
Yeah,
re-release there.
yeah, where they've just kind of they because it's its own thing, they can just oh, hey, we don't have anything for the factory to do today, so we're just going to go make more droidicas.
Yeah.
Droids making droids. It's interesting.
Droids making droids. Yeah, that was kind of the prequel stuff is really hot right now. So I don't mind. I don't mind it being popular.
So, quick question that's totally off book. Uh, what's your favorite Star Wars movie, Vince? Or property, doesn't have to be a movie.
Ugh. I'm old school, man. Empire Strikes Back is my jam.
That's the only correct answer.
I think Empire is probably like where I actually kind of remember the whole experience. Uh, Star Wars original, I was in the era, but I was too young to remember, and I don't think I saw it in theater until maybe some re-releases several years down the road, and I started, understanding or getting into it. But Empire was my jam. Just I don't know. We still watch it today, and it's just like, yeah, it just everything just lined up. Everything was timed right. Everything just came together. Um, so I kind of just separate like, okay, well, Empire from the original era, from the sequel era, probably not so much as the Clone Wars movie itself, but like all the properties and all the spin-offs that happened because of the Clone Wars, especially like the final episodes of the animated series. Those were just amazing. Those were amazing episodes. Enjoyed those a lot. And I think we got a lot of good stuff out of the prequels. Uh, Still kind of wince if the Phantom Menace comes on. It's just like, can we just there's like an edit, a super edit of this or something, and we just get the good stuff.
Do you do like a shortened cut to get through the prequels? I'll put on the Phantom Menace. I'll watch the first like 25 minutes until they jump into the water, and then I fast forward sometimes all the way through the pod race, and then Queen Amidala tries to get the Senate to help. They're doing nothing, and then fast forward back to Naboo, watch the end with Attack of the Clones. I literally just watched the last like half hour of it.
Attack of the Clones is so good. Don't disrespect Attack of the Clones.
The Jango Fett fight scene on Camino, and then the Geonosis battle, and then that's it. We're out. And then Revenge of the Sith, first half hour, 45 minutes. Skip the middle 45, and then watch the final
I'm
little
so
bit.
disappointed you skip any part of Revenge of the Sith, because Revenge of the Sith is so good too.
There's like 10 minutes of montage of them just looking back and forth longingly and being sad, Luke.
It's a great
Sorry,
10 minutes.
Well, David, I divided up my Star Wars into the three eras, and yeah, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite from that era. Watch it over and over. It's just making that connection, like that's Darth Vader, that's Anakin, that's what because as a kid he was just it's such a mystery. There was nothing. It was just this shadowy figure, this evil man. And then Revenge of the Sith kind of showed the transition, and you kind of get it, even though it's like, ugh.
I do love the experience of being watching all those like firsthand. I don't know. Did you go see all of the special editions and the prequels like midnight first show? Like, are you my level of nerd?
The special editions, I don't nothing midnight, nothing for show, but early showings for sure. Try to get ahead of the spoilers. Try to get it in as within the first couple of days, but no, not midnight showings. No, not at my age.
If it makes you feel any better, the only well, I guess I mean the first Star Wars movie I was able to watch in theaters was The Force Awakens, because I was too young for the prequels, but I was always opening night for any of the new ones.
So how was that experience while having that be your first theater going Star Wars experience, seeing the Force Awakens?
Well, Force Awakens I loved. I still think Force Awakens is a great movie. And that really got me back into Star Wars. I was at that age. I was 10. I might maybe 11 whenever it came out. And so, I was kind of outgrowing Star Wars. But that really got me back into it, which I think really helped. I would not be on YouTube today if I never watched Force Awakens there. And same with Rogue One. Um, I think the only one, the first, like I loved Rogue One and I loved Force Awakens. I didn't like The Last Jedi. I still loved Solo, and I know people don't like Solo. And then I didn't like Rise of Skywalker either. So I guess I'm 3 for 5 of ones I've liked, but I've loved the TV shows.
I think we're on the same page with that era. Just there was when the Force Awakens came out. It's like they did it. They figured it out. This is going to be okay. and then it wasn't. And then it wasn't.
I will say though, like none of the movies really had any like mind blowing moments for me, except for I remember in Rogue One the moment the two Star Destroyers collide. I was like, whoa! Like they actually did. There's a if you've ever watched Battlestar Galactica, the 2003 one, uh, there's a moment in season three where they're trying to rescue some people that are on the surface of the planet. They jump the Battlestar into the atmosphere and let it free fall towards the planet, and then they launch all their fighters, and then they jump it back out into space so the fighters can go mop up. It does horrible damage to the Battlestar Galactica ship, but it was such a cool moment. I remember watching it. I had to like rewind it and watch it two or three times. It was amazing. So yeah, that Rogue One moment where the two Star Destroyers collide and then go into the shield generator, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Um, those are those are probably peak Disney Star Wars for me. Is the Rogue One and Andor show. I don't know.
Yeah, that was. They have a template, they have a formula, they have reference to go to. It's just don't forget those good things you guys did. Don't forget.
So yeah, that is actually all of the questions we have for Vince today. So another huge shout out to Vince. Make sure to go check out PopOloco. It'll of course be top description or top link in the description. Make sure to go check it out. Give it a view. Buy some figures. But I'll hand it off to Vince here for a quick closing statement.
Great. Well, I want to thank you guys again for this opportunity to talk. I think that's one thing being behind an e-tail store, an e-commerce store. It's just like you don't get the interaction. Things go in a box and they go out into the ether, and sometimes somebody will make a comment, or sometimes I'll get a review. But for the most part, I just kind of cross my fingers and hope everything's good on that side. So it's good to kind of get some feedback and talk to the people, and it's a great opportunity. I appreciate that. And for your audience, of course, they can use the code SPACE, SPACE. They use it on my site at checkout. They'll get 5% off their in stock order, and that code will combine with the free shipping discount. Free shipping is for any orders $35 and up. Maximum weight of 4 pounds, so you can get a few figures in there. You save 5%, and you get free shipping on those. And I will take care of your shipping. I will pack your items good. I will make sure they don't show up crushed or damaged as much as I can. I can help it, at least on this side. Once it gets out into the hands of the carriers, it should be good. I got good boxes, good paper, everything's good there. So yep. And like I said earlier in the show, I think I got some battle droids coming in pretty soon. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Maybe some restocks on Clone Commander Fox. Maybe, I don't know. There was maybe those Captain Rexes that we lost the first time around. Maybe they'll be coming back too. I don't know. Got a lot of stuff in queue for the rest of the year to fill it out. But like I said, just kind of keep an eye on the site. I've got a newsletter you can subscribe to. I want to try to be on YouTube a little more. I've done a couple of solos, and going solo on this is a lot more difficult than talking to some people. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I usually get new product in once a week or every other week or so, and there's a lot in the pipeline coming. So check it out.
Awesome. Well, Vince, thank you so much. I think the tagline should be popoloco.com, packed and shipped by collectors. Yeah, thank you again for hanging out with us and talking with us. It's always great to get as much of a behind the scenes kind of a thing, because we as just toy buyers don't really fully understand all the ins and outs of it, and so we really appreciate that kind of insight that you're able to offer, and definitely like to have you back if you're open to it.
That'll be great. I'd love to do it again. This has been awesome. This has been great.
That is going to do it for this episode of Somewhere in Space. If you guys did enjoy, go down, hit that like button, subscribe. Of course, check out Vince at PopOloco.com. Of course, linked in the description, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.